Hi, I'm Andrew and welcome to the Building and Integration with OneSaas video series. In the previous video, we've seen how to connect OneSaas to your application. In this video, I'll be walking you through how to retrieve the first orders, transform them to the OneSaas common model, and get them ready for integrating to an accounting spoke. What we are going to build is a spoke resource. A resource defines the type of entities integrated, like products or orders, and the APIs involved when working with those entities. Every resource has a name identifier consisting of a well-known type and a name. Here are some examples. The resource type, transaction, products, contact with organization, tells OneSaas how it should integrate the specified resource, while the name is for you to identify that resource. All our spoke resources reside in the resources folder of our spoke. Let's open the orders.json resource. Here we can see the ID of our resource with well-known type transaction, the name orders, and that we'll be dealing with the JSON API. Retrieving data from the source application is done via the system retrieve operation, where the proxy elements define how the data is queried. Here is the data we want to query. First, we should define our base URL, which is the root of all our API calls in the connection sandbox JSON file. Then, we enter the path in the path and query. We can optionally add pagination support or last modified filters. Next, we need to update the selector. The selector is a JSON path that tells OneSaas how to extract the entities from the received payload. In this case, we receive an array of orders, so we want to extract each individual order. Lastly, we'll update the UID selector to the path inside our order payload that contains the unique identifier for our order. In this case, it's ID. We'll leave the rest of the file as is. We are now ready to test the first retrieve of orders. For this, we'll run the command OneSaas run retrieve orders watch. This will tell OneSaas to run our resource transaction orders and retrieve the data. We can see that our two orders were retrieved. While the console gives us a summary of the run, we can find a detailed log of our run in the .run transactions.orders folder. We can right-click and open Preview to see the detailed run log. Before the orders can be accepted into OneSaas and sent to accounting, we would need to transform them to the OneSaas common model. Let's see the data flow inside OneSaas. Firstly, OneSaas retrieves the entities from the source application via the source resource, transaction orders in our case. Then the received entities need to be transformed to the OneSaas common model, which will be stored inside OneSaas. On the target side, the entities will again be transformed from the OneSaas model into the target spoke's entity format before being created or updated into the target's application. So the last step we need to do is transform the received order into a OneSaas common model entity. We'll do this in the orders.transform file inside the system retrieve section. We've set up our editor side by side with the orders.transform file and the last order payload we received. The transformation will copy and, if required, adjust or modify the data received into the OneSaas common model that OneSaas understands. Every operation is using standard JSON paths to select the source and use it as a destination in the target. We notice that on the left-hand side, the editor provides autocomplete for all the properties in the OneSaas model. For an order, we should copy the number, total, notes, and contact information, plus all the line items. For a contact or other dependent entities, we want to make sure we define a UID that is the unique ID in our application for the entity. This allows OneSaas to correctly detect entities and avoid creating duplicates. For the order date, we want to use a special construct, import date, to import and adjust the time zone for the date. When importing the order line items, we use the constructor for each. This will loop through each line in the source payload and generate a new line in the OneSaas model. We can then use the $i iterator to access each of our rows during the transformation. If our payload has product information, we should aim to create a product as a child of the line with a valid UID. Let's not forget to copy across the quantity and unit price. We'll deal with the taxes in a separate video. For now, this transformation is enough to get our orders into OneSaas. Let's save this and check the CLI terminal. The CLI will repackage our spoke and re-execute the retrieve operation, repulling the data from the source application and applying the new transformation. We can see that the result looks like a valid OneSaas transaction. We can also now open the OneSaas UI and verify our orders. We see the 2 orders that have been retrieved. We can also see that our product and contact were created. In the next video, we'll test our integration by sending our orders to QuickBooks Online or Xero or any other accounting system.